Welcome back to Daybreak, final half hour of the show on this second day of January 2018. 16 degrees in downtown Sylacauga. Well, we've been talking about the Sylacauga City Council, the Little League, and Cal Ripken, their meeting scheduled for tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock at the Fayhosey Chambers at the Municipal Complex. And of course, that's open to the public, and it's anticipated a quorum will be there of all council members. And we welcome this morning District 1 City Council member Ashton Fowler. Ashton, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know you had to tweak your schedule to get to be here because I know you work at Bluebell. We thank you taking the time to be with us. And everybody knows something about this situation, the meeting that is tomorrow night. How did all this get started with?
I initially made contact with the parties, two parties in Cal Ripken and Little League, and basically I wanted to be a mediator between the two. We got together, had a few meetings, and my idea was to throw solutions around, opportunities to make things better, and basically consolidate into one league. And I proposed both parties to meet and to discuss, and it went from there.
Why?
Well, with the town being just above 12,000, it was logistically efficient to have one league, to have all kids pulled together, all our resources in one spot where we could have, a crew run maintenance, a crew run concessions. We would have kids show up and practice and play. If parents wanted to volunteer, that's always an option to volunteer. There was no idea, no concept of exiting out anybody, any parents that want to volunteer, any specific league. I initially came in saying, hey, there's two, that we need to have one.
Now, you came up through the Little League system.
I did, right. Then that was about all there was in the state of Alabama up until, this previous decade, basically, and Cal Ripken has grown quite a bit in this last decade.
The letter that City Attorney Wynn Livingston sent to the Sylacauga Little League, can you explain about that letter and why now?
Right. The letter that was sent out, which was on the finalized the agenda, we sent it out in order. It's a clause in the current Little League contract that was signed, re-signed by the president in 2014, states that if the fields were to be taken back by the city, that city property, the lease were to be terminated, anything of that matter, we had to send out a letter proposing this to the Sylacauga Little League, and from a year to date, so 365 days later, that would take effect.
Now, the council met previous session, voted 4-0. Is that right, to send
Correct.
the letter? Is that how it was? Or?
Yes, to send a letter, to let it be known, to get everybody's attention that, hey, we need to sit down and have a serious discussion, brainstorming session, come up with ideas and solutions to benefit the kids. All this, I've heard a lot of discussion about, well, I've done so much for this, or I've been doing this. Think about how it was when I was a kid 20, 30, 40 years ago. Think about the kids now. That's my thing, is how are they going to grow up? How are they going to manage to win baseball games, succeed when they've been no competition, no chemistry between the kids? They may go to school together, but they've never played baseball together when they come through all the way from 3 to 12.
I saw a story, I think you had done with one of the local other media members here in town, and you talked about, and if I'm paraphrasing this wrong, you can correct me on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be Little League, doesn't necessarily have to be Cal Ripken. What do you mean by that? Right.
I'm not sold to a specific organization. It is one that is viable and can produce for years to come. We're looking. I've told people you have to have a 2 to 5 year plan, 5 to 10 year plan. You look into the future. In the previous decade, one has grown in Cal Ripken and one has seriously declined in Little League. And with there being such few districts and such few teams in each district in the state, I just see that, and it's still declining. That took opportunity. That's why I took action to meet with both sides, say, hey, let's do something about it. And coming into this beforehand, I didn't realize how big, other organizations as in Dixie Youth were that haven't been in Sylacauga, at least that I know of, for a very long time. So, another option would be Dixie Youth or anything that is viable and can continue to be fruitful for a long time to come.
Ashton Fowler, District 1 City Councilman in Sylacauga, talking about Little League and Cal Ripken. And the purpose of this meeting tomorrow night is what?
The purpose is to let everybody be informed of all the accurate information, kill the rumor mills that are going around online. You know, we discussed earlier, social media is a good way to find stuff out, and it also can be the death of us all, you know, with things being said, and it's a lot easier to talk about the bad stuff than discuss, you know, hey, you know, what's going on good in the world. So it seems to me like the bad news or the bad ideas travel around a lot quicker. So we want to kill that, make it known what exactly happened, kind of like what I'm doing this morning. And basically, since I was the one talking in between the two parties, I want to give all council members a chance to ask their own questions, form their own opinions. So there's no bias. There's no such thing as, well, Ashton's telling them what he wants them to hear. They're going to hear it straight from the league reps' mouths.
There will be no vote tomorrow night, however.
No action, no voting. It's strictly an informative meeting. We're going to have, you know, a formal. It's going to be in a formal way, as in, you know, question, answer, opinions between council and league reps, and then we'll open the floor up for the rest of the time that's allotted to this meeting, for citizens to come up to the podium and talk one by one and state their opinion, and they'll be addressing the council only.
The previous council meeting, the council went into executive session, and I want you to describe what normally an executive session means, and then I have another question after that.
Well, when you go in executive session, it's obviously for a private, discrete material dealing with anything, you know, from city employees to a certain legal case, and I cannot comment on anything that took place in a legal session, executive session, but there was nothing, absolutely nothing mentioned about Little League, Cal Ripken, youth organization, sports, anything among that matter.
So it was only about the good name and character of an individual, that something similar to that you were meeting
Exactly.
with, that did not have anything to do with sports at all?
No, sir, it did not, and it got misconstrued when it was a post online of on the proposed agenda that came out Friday, and a proposed agenda is just that. It's subject to change, and it did change by the time we had the meeting that Tuesday. We added about 10 different things. So when the item, which was when we handling a legal matter, I believe was number 5 on the proposed agenda, was screenshotted, said, you know, this is where they hid what they were doing with the Little League contract. A lot of people took that and ran with it, when that wasn't true. If you were at the meeting and had the actual agenda, finalized agendas, it was number 23 or 25 on there stating that we authorized Wynn Livingston to send out the letter to Little League.
The early meetings that you had with Cal Ripken and with Little League, the other council was not involved in that. Is that correct?
Correct. You know, I got them together. I was present at the meetings only, and of course we didn't want a quorum. We just wanted a discussion between the two parties. Like I said, it wasn't anything to do with, you know, personal interest. I had the interest in the kids and bettering the community, giving them a better shot at winning, you know, state titles, district titles, tournaments, playing together, and becoming better kids and building character along the way. Because yes, I played in Little League. That was the only thing in the state of Alabama, or that was that big in the state of Alabama at the time, and around in Sylacauga especially. So we played in one league. We came up together competing, and some of the best memories I have, I'm fixing to be out of high school for 10 years, and you know, we still talk about those days playing when we were competing against each other. And you remember when we got mad at each other, but now we're best friends. That's the competitive factor coming out in people and building character. And some of these kids are missing out on that by being in 2 separate leagues.
Social media can be a good source, as you mentioned earlier. It can be good, but it can be very difficult to navigate sometimes as well. Lots of rumors out there. We want to address a couple of those, including the fields, including Buddy Peters Field and the other parks there that would become something else. Address that this morning.
Right. So there's been a lot of rumors flying around about, you know, what the council is actually planning to do, if there's any backlying plans. And I'm here to tell you now today, guys, there's nothing going on that's quote unquote behind closed doors. Yes, we discussed the contract in a work session, which is open publicly to all the city, the council meetings, you know, and like I said, we've had historically low attendance there, but addressing the field, they're baseball and softball fields. There'll always be baseball and softball fields. We consolidate to one league. We're still going to have that same amount of kids or more. So there would make no sense to take away fields while we're adding kids. So whatever direction we decide to go, those fields are there to stay.
What goes into the decision to consolidate these two organizations? How you do that?
It's simple as every year a charter fee is paid to whichever organization you like to play in, and the boards or the president or whoever pays that fee out of a budget. And it's as simple as not paying the fee and the charter goes away. You know, then whatever league decides to pay the charter fee, that's the league you go with, and everybody's on board and plays. So basically, you know, it's all over a patch on the sleeve, Cal Ripken or Little League, and that's what the underlying problem is.
Cal Ripken and Little League, a lot of people have compared this, and I've said this myself, in consolidating those. It's kind of like, on one level, consolidating B.B. Comer and Sylacauga sound like a good idea, but you got families involved, you got kids involved, you got parents and grandparents and all that. How do you navigate that?
Well, plain simply put, the legal aspect is there. It's completely normal and fine. It's very easy to accomplish by not paying one fee and paying the other charter fee. You know, and if you always do something that's always been done, the current situation is always going to be as it has. You know, in order to grow and make things succeed and be a lot better in the future from that 2 to 5 year plan to 5 to 10 year plan, you're going to have to put pride aside once it gets in the way of progression and do the right thing for these kids.
How does the voice of the people of Sylacauga, how is that voice heard, and what impact will that have on the council decision?
Well, of course, all council has had nonstop calls, and from support to non-support, and you know, there's been a lot of negativity spread around, and I do think a lot of it has to do with the rumors that we've talked about this morning. And once those are addressed and nullified, that I think a lot more people realize what's going on here, and there's no backdoor dealings, there's no, you know, hiding secrets, anything like that. It's completely for these kids, and a lot of that will turn down some of that negativity, or that's the hope. So we hope a lot more positive output and outcomes will come. And I've gotten a lot of support, and I think the guys that have called and asked my opinion, you know, of what is really going on. I've had Little League and Cal Ripken call saying, what are you doing, what's going on? And if they don't agree after I tell them, we both know that's 100% informative decision, and that's the way it needs to be.
So let me make sure I'm clear on this. The action of the council may not necessarily be the will of the people.
No, we are here for the people, and that's what we're voted in for. So what we're here to do tomorrow is kill the rumors so people will be completely informed, and then go from there. Once we're here to hear the people out, that's the complete purpose of the entire meeting. So the will of the people is what we need to go with. You know, we just want to make known the process of what we did to complete where we're at, and we want to make it known that there was nothing negligent going on or hidden behind closed doors.
During these last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of conversation about the meeting, and a lot of conversation about the letter from City Attorney Wynn Livingston, representing the Sylacauga City Council, and to the Little League. Have you gotten feedback from them since this letter was sent?
From the council?
Little League.
From Little League, yes. We talked that night after it was sent. Of course, there was a lot of misunderstanding, and you know, a lot of people that I've heard thought that we just killed Little League off right then and there with that vote, and that was not the case. And some did, you know, I heard Rocky and them quoted they felt blindsided and didn't see this coming. And you know, once I reached out, I told them, you know, there was always an option for that letter, and I didn't, you know, we wanted to come to a conclusion before we sent that letter, but it was being put off, and sending the letter, which can be taken back at any point in time. Today, on the 364th day, it's not a set in stone idea, and a lot of people don't realize that either. So we sent that for attention purposes only, to get everybody back to the table and have serious discussions.
Why have not other councils, or have they, addressed this?
They've addressed it when they've been called upon and talked to, and I guess I've been the face of this whole movement. And you know, rightly so, I guess, as I reached out to both parties first and foremost. You know, and I didn't, like I said, I was the councilman that's been, I guess, closely still related to the kid genre and the kid group, being only 26 years old, and still kind of related towards them. And I brought it up, and, you know, they addressed what they know. They can't, you know, they weren't in all the meetings. They don't know all of what was discussed, but I've told them, you know, we relay after each meeting what was discussed, how they feel, ask them how they feel, and we talk amongst each other about, you know, keeping everybody in the know.
If this is consolidated, and I think that's the direction you feel like it should go, from what I'm hearing you say, what happens to the girls softball and the Challenger League?
Right, girls softball will always be there. They are in a contract with Sylacauga Little League, boys Little League, so it's kind of a sublease option there. They're not anything to do with the contract that the city has with Little League. So if they plan on staying Little League and playing, they stay Little. They can pick whatever charter they would like to play, pay and play. They have to go, however, through Little League boys to change that, and they're fine as far as nothing's going away with them. They have their field they play on, and then they will continue to play on that, no problem. With the Challenger League, there's always options with every organization for a special needs league. And take Cal Ripken, for example, they have Bambino Buddy Ball is what it's called, for ages 5 to 19. They have a buddy come and help them pitch, catch, throw, run, everything. And the buddies, any age that want to be. So each Dixie Youth has their own special needs league, so that there was not 2 of those because it wasn't viable, again, to have 2. Little League was doing such a good job with their Challenger League. There's no need to start a second one because there's not enough participation, and it would nullify. We would have 0 instead of 2 if we tried to go that option.
Ashton Fowler, District 1 City Councilman here in our city, and big meeting tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. Council will meet with Cal Ripken and Little League representatives. Where do you see this going?
Well, I see a lot of rumors being nullified, a lot of false accusations being cut out, and I hope to see more positivity come out of this because, you know, sports is a big thing in this town, and, you know, it's highly respected amongst me and my family and my friends and workers, and, you know, we take it serious, but at the same time we need to know that it's for the kids, for them to go out and have fun and play. And the best option for the kids is the best option that we need to go with, and that needs to be known and discussed. So mainly is getting the false accusations and rumor mill dispersed so we can continue with a viable discussion.
Being the mediator between the two entities here can often cause a mediator to get hammered a little bit, but we appreciate you coming this morning. And just a couple more minutes with Ashton today. And don't forget the meeting tomorrow at 5 in the Fay-Hosey chambers of the municipal complex, open to the public, and it's anticipated a quorum of city council members will be present. Sylacauga Parks and Recreation Department, where do they fit in here?
Well, they basically are your maintenance crew. They're your facilitators. With Cal Ripken, they've always kept the fields ready to play, field prepped them with the chalking and the dragging of the outlines in the fields and such, where the kids they have a place to show up. They come in and play. The parents don't have to worry about doing concessions and such. They can sit down, watch their kids, and enjoy a game of baseball. Not to say the value of hard work and volunteering and putting the league on the backs of others, individuals in the town, like Little League has done for so many years. That is highly respected and gives you a sense of pride in what you're doing. But that's the way. That's why Parks and Rec is in with Cal Ripken, is because they make it a little easier for the parents to relax, come up and watch their kid play.
I know you've heard this, and I'll throw it out here this morning for you to address to the viewers today. I understand that the Cal Ripken fields are great fields, but people talk about getting from point A to point B to get to the fields.
Right. It's been known, talked about forever, regardless of baseball, football, soccer, anything like that. It's a sketchy place to go through to get there, and there's no hiding that. There's always going to be your pros and cons to either league, either organization, no matter if you have an A and a B you're discussing, and that is one of the cons of that, is the location. But also you got to understand there's parents, people, kids that are discussing that it's not a safe location. I don't want my kids playing ball there, I don't feel safe taking them there, driving there. They're also there playing soccer and football and whatever else the fall sports they're all to offer. And I've seen that personally. You know, it's just kind of a double negative oxymoron, if you will, that they say it's unsafe to play baseball, but it's okay playing soccer because there's that only one organization offering the soccer or the flag football or whatever it is in the fall.
Ashton Fowler, our guest this morning, District 1 City Councilman, and the meeting tomorrow night at 5 in the Fayhosey Chambers at Municipal Complex, and you're invited to be a part of that. Long story short, end result, what do you see happening here?
As far as the...
Has it changed you in the last couple of weeks, the people you've talked to, the numbers of people that have got involved in this? Has it changed your thought at all about the direction of this project?
I believe in what I've always believed in. That's doing the right thing, doing it for the kids. And, you know, my outlook on the situation that I came into has not changed, but some of the people, whether it be good or bad in the situation, my outlook on that has changed. You know, from the accusations and comments about my name and slandering that in the mud is made me see a lot. It's been an eye-opening experience, and from anything from threatening comments to, you know, good job, to anybody I didn't even know contacting me saying, hey, I appreciate you, or people I don't know contacting me saying other things that can't say on TV is pretty eye-opening. And you know, it makes you see things a lot differently.
Sylacauga Little League and Cal Ripken representatives will meet tomorrow evening with the Sylacauga City Council at 5 o'clock in the Fayhosey Chambers. And, you know, there's a lot of people that have opinions of this. Little League baseball has been around since the early 50s. A lot of people have gone through Little League, and you mentioned it was the only game in town, but still a lot of people have gone through Little League, and it touches a lot of hearts and pulls a lot of heartstrings.
Absolutely, and I agree 100% on that. You know, it's tough, but, you know, what are we going to do next year, year after, when, hey, we're the only district in town and we have 3 or 4 teams around to play? You know, how is that going to play out? You know, I was around when Mr. Wingard, who the park is named after, was coaching and out there. And
great man.
And great man. I'm great friends with the family, highly respectable. And, you know, that park is still going to be Wingard Park, and everything he fought for and did and brought kids out there to play. Baseball is still going to be played on that field, and those kids are still going to enjoy that same opportunity.
If indeed a consolidation does take place in a year or so, whenever it is, what do you see at these fields?
Well, I see you pulling the resources again, like I said, with one organization, pulling those resources together, creating larger funds, creating something to go over there, and, you know, whether it be this year, next year, to redo some stuff, make more parking, make bigger concessions, you know, whatever. We could remodel, remake, and have a lot of things more for opportunity for the kids. So. You
mentioned that the letter could be rescinded at any time.
Anytime.
But is there an earlier time that you guys could say, hey, this is it, or does it have to be a year?
No, if we make a decision that says, well, the Little League's going to be no longer, it has to be after that year is up. That was the provision in the contract.
Sign-ups and stuff like that.
Right. They will get 2018 regardless of what the solution is and the outcome of all these discussions. The 2018 season stays the same like it always has been, and the discussions will continue hopefully through the season, summer and winter, and you know, hopefully before the end of the year we will have something to come up with and be proud of.
And I appreciate you being here this morning.
Yes, sir.
And Ashton Fowler, District 1 City Councilman, and meeting tomorrow night with the Sylacauga City Council, Little League, and Cal Ripken represented at 5 o'clock.